Hello Guardians, and welcome to Miah-Pinion. Today I'm going to go over the basics of the drum feds, and before that I'm going to quickly go over one specific breach loading that they just brought in the game recently called the Martyr's Retribution. So before getting into the drum feds, let's take a quick look at this. And the reason why I want to bring up this Martyr's Retribution, this is what I use my primary weapon, and you wonder how you could use special ammo weapon as a primary? It's all due to that lead from gold perk. When you mix the picking up heavy ammo also grants ammo to this weapon, well, we're getting so much ammo for our grenade launcher, the heavies, because of all those grenade launcher perks. That also counts for this weapon, so we get special ammo to drop for this weapon, and then every time I pick up the heavy, it also gives me ammo for this. So I have more ammo for this weapon than I know what to do with. I highly recommend, if you like grenade launchers, try that out. It does take a little bit to get used to firing at the ground in front of enemies, but once you get used to it, this thing can decimate. Without further ado, let's get into the drum feds. Alright, I figure you guys we probably want to check out some ranges, right? See what we're looking at. So here we got 10 meters. So right here at the stairs. 10 meters. Right here, right on this. 20 meters. Just behind this guy is 30 meters. There's 40 meters on this shit. So 50 meters right there. So that's how all of our testing will be done. So one of the first things we're going to do is look at the damage difference between the 120 RPM and 150 RPM grenade launchers. So let's start with the 120s. So I'm going to show you guys two different 120s. We're going to test all these with spike grenades, since ultimately, as you'll see, the spike grenades really are the best DPS ones. There's other reasons why you would choose other mags, but for this test, that's what I'm going to go with. So first, we're going to go with a 949 through fire and flood, spike, hard launch. All right, Gary. Next, we'll be looking at a 120 RPM adaptive frame edge transit with field prep ambitious assassin. And again, spike grenades. And lastly, we'll be looking at the aggressive frame 150 So as you guys can see by these numbers, that the damage is the same, basically the same on the grenades, regardless of the archetype. So there's really no reason why you would want to use a 120 RPM over a 150 RPM. I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me why you would want to do that. I guess if for some reason you have the perfect rolled 120 and you have complete crap 150s, but yeah, I just wouldn't do it. Go with the 150s all day. All right, so next I'm going to go over some magazine types. Now, as far as the launcher barrel, the reality is you want to be looking for hard launch. If you don't get hard launch, I mean, just go with the best one you have, but hard launch is going to be your go-to. So let's go ahead and move on to the magazine perks. So the first one we're going to look at is high velocity rounds. This weapon's projectiles are particularly light and quick and increases projectile speed and reload speed. Next, we have remote detonation. This comes on the curated Tear and Wind, but can also come as a random roll. Fires a slower grenade projectile that bounces and detonates on trigger release. It increases blast radius and decreases the mag size. Not a huge fan of this perk, but it can be used to some good effect. Anyway, let's take a quick look at that. And let it go, but as you see, damage drops off pretty significantly compared to a direct hit. Another perk that comes on the curated Tear and Wind is Augmented Drum. Heavy, high-capacity drum greatly increases magazine speed, greatly decreases the reload speed. This is not one of my favorite drums. Avoid it if you can. Next, we're going to take a look at Black Powder. This weapon's explosives are more effective. Slightly increases the blast radius, decreases the stability. Next, we got sticky grenades. Grenades fired from this weapon attach on impact and detonate when enemies are in proximity. These are a lot of fun in PvP if you know that dudes are going to be coming through a certain area, and you could toss a couple of these in an unsuspecting spot down in a corner. They'll come around, and yeah, pretty fun. Anyway, let's take a look at these guys. So, you can see they're just fine for doing damage. Not the best choice, but they totally work. See, even putting it down here. Oh. Let's try that again. No. Ah. Next, we have thermoplastic grenades. Grenades fired from this weapon bounce further. Increases stability, increases projectile speed. So these are kind of interesting. I haven't found a practical use for them, but if you can have fun, check these bad boys out. So, not significantly different than any of the rest. But what is fun about this thermoplastic for the win! Next, we have alloy casing. Reduces weight for faster reloads, greatly increases reload speed, decreases stability. This is not actually a bad option. It doesn't do a whole lot, but the increased reload speed is fairly significant. So from a DPS perspective, this can be a good option just because it helps you get more grenades downrange faster. Alloy casing. And the reload. Moving on, we have high explosive ordnance. This weapon's projectiles are larger and travel faster. Increases blast radius, increases the projectile speed, and decreases the magazine size. Well, just the decreases mag size makes me not like it, but hey. So we can't kill Gary with a full mag. we actually have to do a reload. So this, yeah, not a great choice. Stay away from high explosive ordnance. Next is probably my favorite magazine perk if I cannot get spike grenades, and that's the mini frags. Grenades are smaller and more compact for easy reloading. It increases the magazine size, it increases the reload speed, and it decreases the blast radius. This is simply a much better perk. Next are the blinding grenades. Grenade detonation has a brief blinding effect, greatly decreases the blast radius. The second to last perk that we'll talk about is the perk that I hands down think is the best perk. Spike grenades. Grenades fired from this weapon do increased damage on direct hits and increases stability. This is just hands down a DPS increase. The last magazine perk that we are going to discuss today is the proximity grenades. And these are known to be one of the best choices, probably the second best after spike grenades. Well, I disagree, and I'm going to show you why right here. So this is our mini frags. We are using a Love of Death with full court. However, I'm within 10 meters, so there will be no damage bonus. So our mini frags do 10-2 and 5-3. Once more, 10-2, 5-3. Right? So that's about 15,500 damage. Now, if I move this up here, let's see how much bonus damage we do now. Wait, what's that? No, that can't be right. 8,800? No, that can't be. No. No. Wait. In fact, let's take advantage of full court. Okay, that added some damage, but we're only at 9,000. Wait, what? Wait. Only 9,000. Wait. No, this can't be right. No, get out of here. In fact, you know what? Let's go back. Where's our 50-meter mark? Right here? Wait, how? 12,000, and that's with that bonus damage from the last hit. Alright? So we got a max damage just over 10,000 with proximity, but with the mini frags, we're doing 15,500. Well, the reason is simple. Proximity grenades explode before the grenades actually hit. So you don't get the direct damage number, and it's based on your blast radius. And so the larger your blast radius, actually the less damage it'll do because it will detonate early. We're going to let's talk about two specific grenade launchers that are 120s that are definitely usable. The first one we'll talk about is Doomsday, and we have the curated role. Now, if you happen to get one with full court and spike grenades on it as a random roll, particularly if you have hard launch and auto-loading holster, if you could get this same roll but spike grenades, you are in business. But here's an interesting thing. We just saw what happened with spike grenades. This is a 120, so you would expect us to see damage in the 9,000 to 10,000 range with this weapon, right? Well, let's go pick up some ammo and see what happens. Okay, so this is only a 120 RPM. This is not the aggressive frame. So we're just trying to beat 8,800, which is what we got here with the Love and Death. Wait. How are we getting 12,000? Wait, that can't be right. Wait a second. Now look at that damage increase. From 10,000 up to almost 15,000 at full range, right? 20,000. Well, that was the last hit. That doesn't count. But, all right, Gary, come on. Let's do this again. 15. Doomsday does not have the same damage drop-off from proximity grenades that all the other grenade launchers have had. So if you do happen to get yourself a Doomsday with the full court and the proximity, Don't worry about it. It's not that bad in this one particular case. Alright, so we've already seen the Wendigo for the blinding grenades. Doesn't really do a whole lot, but a little bit of crowd control. However, this Wendigo is the ritual weapon from Season 8. And as such, it does, like most ritual weapons, come with its own unique perk. In this particular case, it happens to be Explosive Light. Picking up an orb of light increases the next grenade's blast radius and damage. This right here is what sets this grenade launcher apart and makes this a worthwhile grenade launcher to chase after if you can get it. So you guys saw what just the regular grenades do, but you notice in the left corner, Explosive Light times 6. These grenades, remember Gary here would normally take 7 grenades to kill? Look at that. So yeah, go get yourself a Wendy. So now when it really comes down to what weapon do I want to use to DPS, that really depends on quite a few different factors. Ultimately, if there's any sort of burn, that'll depict what I use. For my main character here, there's Void Burn, I'll use the Swarm of the Ravens. If there's Solar Burn, I'll use the Love and Death. And if there's Arc Burn, I will use the Wendigo. So the one that I used to use up until the Love and Death came out was the Swarm of the Raven. And I've been using this bad boy right here with Countermass or Linear Compensator, Spike Grenades, Auto-Loading Holster, and Rampage. My God roll would be Hard Launch, Spike Grenades, Auto-Loading Holster, and Ambitious Assassin. And the reason why Ambitious Assassin is that way if I could get 1 kill and then reload, it would give me 8 rounds in the mag. If I could get 2 kills, I'd have 9 rounds in the mag. If I can get 4 kills, I believe it would give me 10 rounds in the magazine. So if I could do that before a boss DPS phase, that means I could go into the first phase with 10 rounds in my magazine instead of 7. So just from a DPS perspective, that's one way to get a little ahead of the curve. So I think I showed you guys this guy a second ago, but let's take a look. It's still a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to kill Gary. And our swarm from the 50-meter mark. And the standard 6, 7. Well, now everybody I'm sure wants to know what is the best grenade launcher in the game. And the first thing I would argue would be, well, it depends on what the burn is. But the ultimate winner is the Love and Death. We're going to quickly go over 3 of them. This one is Hard Launch. We got the Mini Frag Rangefinder for more effective range and zoom magnification, and not to mention better velocity. And then our Full Court, which we'll be testing that damage right now. All right, the Rangefinder, Love and Death at 10 meters. Rangefinder at 20 meters. Rangefinder at 30 meters. Rangefinder at 40 meters. Rangefinder at 50 meters. Alright, so real quick, so here's the Love and Death. Reload the threat detector with no threat detector active. Here's with threat detector level 1. Threat detector level 2, significantly faster. So threat detector can be a very viable perk. Threat detector at 10. Threat detector at 20. Threat detector at 30. Threat detector at 40. Threat detector at 50, max range. So here is as close as I have come to my god roll since the game refuses to give me a love and death with full court and spike grenades. This one is linear compensator with the velocity masterwork, the choice of alloy casing or augmented drum. I of course would prefer spike grenade and mini frag, but hey. Field prep, increased ammo reserves, which turns out to be 2 extra grenades in total, which is 2 extra grenades. Faster reload, stow, and ready when you're crouching. Then, of course, our full court. So, you'll notice there's nothing really special about this weapon compared to the other 2 Love and Deaths we just looked at. Here we are, it's about 51, 52 meters. Over 19,000. And we don't even have spike grenades. So in closing, I found a few interesting things while testing that I'll go over right now in closing. The first one is that you really have to experiment with the different barrels and mags that you have for the best results. Unless you have hard launch and you have spike grenades, I do recommend that you try all 4 different combinations of whatever you have to see. There will be minor damage differences. Some barrels give you a little bit more explosive damage while doing a little less direct damage. That may affect your playstyle. Just because one barrel or mag gives you a little bit more damage overall, it may not fit with your playstyle. So I do recommend checking that out. The second thing was, as generally known, blast radius, the larger the blast radius, generally the lower the damage, but that's not always true. The prime case I saw was when I tested all 3 Love and Deaths, the one with the most blast radius, my field prep version, was the one that ultimately did the most damage. Now again, that can be due to other combinations, but I try to get those as close as possible. So just play with what you got, see how that works. The third one is straight up that proximity grenades suck for PvE. If you're going to use it for PvP, sure. But in PvE, avoid proximity grenades at all costs. The one exception being the Doomsday. Which leads to the fourth one. The Arc is the one elemental type that literally is better with you going with the 120s versus the 150s, and that's simply because both Wendigo and Doomsday are arc-based grenade launchers, and the next best that I could tell would be the Acantha, and both the Wendigo and the Doomsday are both better than the Acantha. So, as far as damage, so with a little bit of testing, it became pretty clear what the most damage per grenade is. So I'm just going to go through the top 5 grenade launchers. And I'm going to tell you 6 here because, strangely enough, the Wendigo appears twice on the list. So coming in at 6th place, we have the Wendigo without any explosive light. That the most I was able to get was 14,787 damage. Number 5 was the Doomsday with full court. Mine was a curated version. If you get the spike version, it could be a little bit higher than this. The curated version does between 14,787 to 15,236 damage per shell. Coming in at number 4 would be Love and Death without spike grenades. Without spike grenades, Love and Death can do between 15.6 thousand and 19.3 thousand per. Coming in at number 3 is the Swarm of the Raven with spike grenades. Now, while this is a little less than the Love and Death without spike grenades at max range. Range does not matter for the Swarm with spike. So it does 18.6 thousand damage regardless, which is not much less than the 19.3 thousand the Love and Death can get at 50 meter range. Plus it has spike grenades. Number 2 is Love and Death with spike grenades. And if you get this, this is going to be the easiest of all the grenade launchers to use. It will do between 18.6 within 10 yards to 21,239 in my testing at over 50 yards. Now, the number 1, as you guess, just like our number 6 was the Wendigo without explosive light. The Wendigo with explosive light was doing 25,196. So that's the first 6 shots, provided you have explosive light times 6. But if you are playing in a group, particularly hunters with Orpheus rigs or some other setup that creates lots of orbs, the Wendigo would hands down be the most damaging rocket launcher, the most damaging grenade launcher you could choose. So it's all up to you. The good news is the top 3, Swarm of the Raven with spike, Void. Love and Death with spike, solar. And the Wendigo with explosive light, arc. So the 3 top damagers are the 3 different archetypes. So that's good news. That means that just because the burn is different than what the best launcher you got, provided you have a fairly decent of that archetype, you're not going to be far behind. I'll quickly go over what I would consider to be my god rolls for each of those. For Void would be the Swarm of the Raven with hard launch, spike grenades, auto-loading holster, and ambitious assassin. For the Arc would be the curated Wendigo, or if you're going for the Doomsday, a Doomsday with hard launch, spike grenades, auto-loading holster, and full court. And lastly, my favorite of all the launchers, for Solar, we'd go with the Love and Death with hard launch, spike grenades, field prep, and full court. But hey, that's just my opinion. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I really hope this video was helpful, that you learned something you didn't already know. I did. It was actually a lot of fun testing these. Please hit the like, or if you don't like it, comment why you don't, so that I can continue to make my content better for the community. Subscribe for future Destiny 2 and Division 2 content. If you consider this video worth sharing, please do. This is Mr. Miah. I'm out of here, and I'll check you later. Giggity.